Greetings, this is another reader. Welcome back to my channel. I have been a slow reader in the past. Previously, I read 5 books in 2 months. Well, now I have good news. I read 5 books in 1 month. Or to be exact, I read 4 books and quit one midway. I'm not sorry about quitting books if I lose interest in them. After all, there are many books waiting for me. So, without further ado, let's get started. I read 3 books physically and 2 digitally. I'd rather start with the book that I quit midway, and that's The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. I discovered this book from a Bookspace channel. It's a science fiction novel from the 50s. And since I declared 2022 a year of sci-fi, I decided to go for it. There will be a few spoilers for this book. Triffids are the large plants that can move and poison everything around. For some reason, this reminds me of Plants vs. Zombies mobile game. I don't know why. One night, a large comet flies over the Earth and many people come to see it. And on the next morning, they wake up blind. Bill Mason is one of those who kept his eyesight because he was at hospital at the time, recovering. When he woke up in hospital, he saw that everything was abandoned. Everything was chaotic. Well, that's basically the beginning of The Walking Dead comics and the show of the same name. I caught The Walking Dead vibes when I read his awakening at the hospital. So the world Bill knew was completely gone. Then Bill rescues a woman named Josella, and together they strive to survive. There are also flashbacks with Bill's past and the Triffids because he got interested in them since childhood, and he got himself a job because of them. I read the first half, but I couldn't force myself to continue reading the book. What I read so far I found enjoyable. I don't know why I couldn't bring myself to continue this book. Maybe because I had other books to read, or maybe because I found the protagonist to be kinda boring. There will be no rating for this book because I abandoned it, and it wouldn't have been fair to rate it since I quit it. I know how the book ends though, because I read the short summary. Alright, let's move on. That's something that I did read. The second book I did not expect to read. I did not see myself reading, even though I heard about it a few years ago. The book is in Russian and I don't know if there's an English translation available. It was quite an easy read, and that's, translating into English, Working Days of a Teacher by Pavel Astapov. If you don't know who Pavel Astapov is, he's a former teacher turned YouTuber. I am his former subscriber. In his YouTube videos, Pavel often talks about his experience as a school teacher, but in this book he goes deeper. He explains everything in details. Pavel has a very interesting and funny writing style, and it's quite easy to read too. I don't know if this is a bonus or not, but there are also some pop culture references. I always knew that being a teacher was a hard job, but I didn't realize how difficult it was until I read Pavel's book. Even though Working Days of a Teacher was a great book, for the most of it I felt like I was going to vomit. I was like, no! Not because the book sucked, not at all, it was great, but because it reminded me of my own school experience that I want to forget. I try not to remember. One thing that surprised me is that Pavel was once asked to visit his pupils in non-school time just to see how they lived. This guy refused, but it still surprised me. That wasn't the case when I was going to school, but if my teacher came to visit me to see how I lived, I'd pretend I'm not at home. Because I was done tolerating them at school, I didn't want to tolerate them at home. I'm not sure whether I would reread this book, but for one night, it was a good read. I rated 9 out of 10. Alright, moving to the third book, it's this. Oh, this is a spoiler for my future book hauls. This one I found in a bookstore. I've never heard of it until I entered the shop and saw this. I've never heard of the author, but it was a sci-fi novel, and 2022 is a year of sci-fi for me, and I read the description, liked it very much, and I bought it. To be honest, I do kinda miss those times when there were no book YouTubers or metal vocalists to inspire me to buy a book. This purchase reminded me of those times. This book is The Flicker Man by Ted Kosmatka. Unlike The Day of the Triffids, this is a recent novel. It came out a few years ago. Let me see when it came out. This very edition was published in 2017 and the book itself, the English version, was published in 2016. Just like Working Days of a Teacher, this book was very easy to read and I read it in one night. I didn't go to sleep until I have finished it. This book is about a scientist named Eric Argos. At the beginning of the story, he is an employed scientist whose early works made him famous, but then he nearly lost